Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in to Destination You. As you guys know, on this channel, we address and our talk about purpose, self-development, and business. And so I wanted to bring up the topic of how we pick ourselves apart and kind of bring some light on how we do this, why we do it, where it comes from, or where I believe it comes from. And I think it's really important to address this particular topic, particularly among women, Black women in particular, is because I think that we unconsciously do this to ourselves, and we do it a lot. I have definitely been guilty of doing it to myself, and I've seen other people do it. And what I begin to realize is that I think that a lot of times it becomes a habit. So, you guys, if you know anything about habits or how we form habits or how we break habits, and there's actually a really good book on habits, and I will note the book in the description section. And if you guys know of any books, you can put them in the comment section for others. But if you know anything about habits, when you do something over and over again for, a period of time, some people say, 30 days, 90 days. I mean, to be honest with you, it really depends on the personality of the person. Personally, that's what I believe. But anyways, if you do something over and over again over a period of time, and that time could vary depending on the person, you can form a habit or a pattern for yourself. And so I think that when it comes to picking ourselves apart, a lot of women, or a lot of people, more specifically women, Black women, we do this, and we do it without even knowing that we're doing it to ourselves. First of all, let me lay out what picking yourself apart is, so that we have um, a clear a description of what picking yourself apart is, okay? So for me, I would say, picking yourself apart is like, what does that mean? It means basically when you take, your negative things about yourself, your flaws about yourself, the things that you don't like about yourself, when you take those things and you're always, you know, focusing on those things about yourself. Okay. And how we do this to ourselves, like, I know there was a point where I used to get up in the morning and I would walk into my bathroom, and the very first thought in my mind, and sometimes it would even come out of my mouth, I would say, oh, look at my skin. Oh my God. Oh, I have this bump here. I have this pimple here. Oh, look at my hair. It's a mess. And what I began to realize, you guys, is that before I could even get my day started, I'm picking myself apart. I'm literally doing that before I can even, the first 5 minutes of when I wake up for my day. And I wake up pretty early, you guys. So I'm doing this, at the very beginning, at the very start of my day. And what I began to realize that it's not just me, it's a lot of us that do it, and we do it unconsciously. Like, I didn't even realize or know that I was doing it until I read a book that kind of, talked about how we do this to ourselves. And I thought to myself, man, I'm always doing that. I'm guilty of literally picking myself apart before my day even got started, So for me, well, I'll address some of the things that I put in place so that I didn't do that to myself. And it's not something that I think for many of us, some of us, I guess some people, they do intentionally hurt themselves or harm themselves. But in my case, it wasn't intentional. It was just something that, I just would tell myself, I would think about myself. And what that does is that it basically, first of all, we form a habit by doing that. And then second of all, that habit begins to grow legs and it begins to display itself in different areas of our lives. And so we begin to take on certain insecurities about ourselves that we basically did to ourselves. Not intentionally, for many of us, but unintentionally. And so this is kind of why I wanted to talk about this particular topic, because I think that there are many women, more specifically, we live in a day in time where social media is like a big deal. It's a big deal in our everyday lives. It's a big deal, just period, in this day and time. And even when you're going onto any social media platform, whether that be here, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of them, TikTok especially, what we see is that, we see and we hear so many different things as to why we should change something about ourselves, why we should change the way that we look, the way that we do our hair, the way that we wear our makeup, the way that we paint our nails, the way that we wear our nails, the underwear we should buy, it's just so many different things. And sometimes if you already have a poor self-image and low self-esteem, and you've already formed the habit of picking yourself apart, those things can be harmful. And, I thank God that, for me personally, I can't, I'm not going to lie and say that I've had to deal with, picking myself apart to the point of where I had low self-esteem or anything like that. Maybe like way in my younger days, but not, as a grown woman who's very comfortable in my own skin. But it did start to grow legs in the sense of, like, oh, my breasts are so small, my butt could be bigger. And it's like, man, I never used to think those things, like never. And it's like, when I walk into the mirror at the start of my day, I'm literally, oh my God, my skin this, my hair is a mess. I wear my hair natural. So, I have very kinky, curly hair, and it doesn't take much for me to go to bed and wake up with my hair all over my head, and it doesn't take much for that to happen to me. So, when I wake up and I'm in the mirror, I'm like, and there are some days where I'm in the mirror and it's like, man, my skin looks so good, it's so pretty, the skin routine that I'm doing is working. But when I weigh those days compared to the other days where I'm literally standing in the mirror and I'm like finding everything that I think is a flaw or that I think, could be better or changed. And don't get me wrong, you guys, like I am an advocate for being honest with yourself. Like if there's something about you that you want to change, like if you want to do better, like maybe on your weight loss journey, for those of you who are on a weight loss journey, or if you want to do better as it relates to like, taking better care of your hair or taking better care of your nails or your skin, absolutely, be realistic about those things and, get on the journey of making those things better or even changing those things if that's what you want to do. But again, it should all go back to you, and it should all go back to you doing that for you, not for social media, not to post pictures, not to get more attention from men or, more attention from women, not for, do it for you. Because when you do it for those other things, it's not going to stick or stay around as long, and you're going to find yourself always having issues. And this is why we see young girls who are absolutely beautiful and they do so much to their bodies and their face. And, it's like, after so many different things that they've done, you don't even recognize them from their original face. And I see this a lot. I'm not going to call out any names because I'm not going to call out any names, but I'm sure you guys can think of some celebrities or people who, who have been on television or whatever, where you've seen these people and you're like, oh my God, this person does not even look like themselves. A matter of fact, I'll just say one name because I think this is a general. No, you know what? I'm gonna refrain from saying any names or pointing out any people, but you know who these people are. So, but going back, let me get back on track. So, how do we do it? I already gave examples of that. What happens when we do this? I kind of already hit on that. When you do it, when you're picking yourself apart, it taps into the low self-esteem, insecurities. I mean, it taps into like your self-worth, your worthiness. It taps into like it really comes from fear, and then out of fear you have worry, stress, and anxiety. Those can be very harmful to you if you don't know how to recognize them. And even if you do know how to recognize them, they can still be harmful because they'll sneak up on you. And before you know it, you feel yourself being, you have anxiety about, your nose, or you're having, oh, I've seen like friends of mine who we go out and we have to take like 20 or 30 pictures before we can get the right picture because they have such an anxiety about their stomach or their nose, or oh, let me go on this side because this is my better side, or oh, wait a minute. And it's like, girl, you are beautiful. Like you don't have to do that. And so going to the next thing, where does it come from? Like I said, it comes from fear. I think a lot of things come from fear. I'm going to do a whole video on fear and the breakdown of fear and how fear can manifest itself in different areas of our lives and where it comes from. I think that a lot of issues that we face, particularly as Black women, because, as Black women, we are the most scrutinized woman on planet Earth. The most. Black women are the most scrutinized. We're scrutinized about our hair, whether it's too short, it's too long, it's too kinky and curly, or some may refer to it as nappy. It's too, thin. It's just like every single thing. Our nose, our lips, our phenotype, our skin tones, the way that our eyes slant or do not slant, our skin, it's just about every single thing. And I noticed that when you look at other groups of women, I don't see, other groups of women being scrutinized about their hair. Like, okay, yeah, it may be thin, but okay. But as a Black woman, it's like, it's either too thin, too thick, too curly, kinky. It's always something. And so, more particularly, I want to talk about the fears and how they manifest in different areas, but that's a whole nother video. Okay, so I think I covered the basic things that I wanted to talk about. I did not want to make this video too long, so I do kind of want to get into like some things and some tips of how like you can like not do this and not pick yourself apart. First of all, when you get a negative thought, try to take it captive. Okay, I read this in a book some years ago, and I believe it was a Christianity book, you guys. But it was a really, really good thing that always stuck out to me, and it said to take every negative thought captive. Right, so all your negative thoughts, all your thoughts that where you're telling yourself you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, you're whatever. Take those thoughts captive and dissect that thought and ask yourself, why are you thinking this? Like, where is this coming from? Right? Because a lot of times it may not even be true. It may not even be true, you guys. So take every negative thought captive, dissect the thought, figure out where it's coming from, get the root of it. And a lot of times it's coming out of fear, right? You don't think you're good enough because you are comparing yourself to somebody that you probably never even met, probably really wouldn't even want to meet if you really knew who they were in the inside, right? So that's a whole nother story. The next thing is to pinpoint the fear. I kind of already said that. So we know that a lot of times this comes from fear. So the worry and the stress and the anxiety behind why you're thinking such negative things about yourself, try to figure that out. Okay, and then retrain your mind. So you can break a habit and then you can retrain yourself to take on a better habit. A habit, you can replace a habit with a habit. So you want to replace the negative habits, the bad habits, the self-sabotaging habits, the not so good habits, the habits that harm you. You want to replace those habits with habits that will help you grow, right? And the last thing is affirmations. Affirmations are so helpful. They're helpful in helping you break negative thoughts about yourself, or just self sabotaging thoughts about yourself, or thoughts that are harmful to your self image. So, affirmations, I know you guys probably have seen this or heard this a lot, but affirmations are just wonderful. And personally speaking, I think that you should write your own, because I think that yes, you have basic affirmations for, basic things like, oh, I want to do well in business. Oh, I want to be, a better person, things like that. But there can be affirmations that you write that are specific to your, the things that you specifically want for yourself or for your life, or that are issues for you in certain areas. And so that's another thing that I would like to do on this channel, is to go over how to write affirmations for yourself, things that you can tell yourself every single day that are specific to the very things that you need, that is going on in your life, that you want to do better, or better in. So that's another video, but yes. So and again, I don't want to make this video too long. I think what I'm going to have to do, you guys, is probably have some courses or something that we can take, in some like activities and stuff like that that we can do to help us with this, because some of these things are not, they're really not that simple. And I know that for many of you guys, you're probably wanting more of an explanation, or a deeper understanding of some of the things that I'm saying. And that's all fine. But again, that could take minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. And I don't want to make these videos too long. So with that being said, get down in the comment section. What do you guys think? Have you ever done this? Do you even realize that you pick yourself apart sometimes? Like, you're always pointing out your negative things about yourself. You're always putting them in the forefront, or you're always leading with those things. Or do you find yourself like joking about those things all the time, because you feel that if you joke about it to people, that they won't notice it, or that, if you make a joke out of it, it won't hurt as much, but that hurt doesn't go away. So again, I did not want to make this video long, so I hope that you guys would like this video. Also comment, let me know your experiences with picking yourself apart, and also leave some comments about other topics of discussion that you guys would like to kind of go over and hear about. I am all ears. And until next time, I hope you guys are doing well, and I speak to you next time. Bye.